up, guys? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of Orange County. This is season 18, and I think this is episode 8. But if I'm wrong, the title card will be correct. But let's get into it. Sometimes before we get into it, we get a little spicy, just a little bit. And I want to talk about just two things. So first up, this clip of Tamra. So Tamra was on her Two Teeds in a podcast, and she said something where I'm just like, how did you not think this was going to pan out for you? So let me play the clip for you.
Next week's going to be a great. I haven't seen it yet. I get it today, but you're on it.
Speaking of when things will shift and I'll start getting hate, I'm assuming it's now.
Well, I don't know how you possibly have done anything to make people hate you. But then again, I went in this whole season thinking I'm being a good friend. I'm not enabling. And look how it's come out.
Yeah.
There's a difference there.
It's just kind of weird to me that Tamara is like shocked by fans being mad at her, because I'm like, are you not looking back at the show and not realizing like how mean and how much of a bad person you seem to everybody? Now, I'm not saying she shouldn't hold Shannon accountable for what she did, because what she did was bad. Like, she could have ended her life, her dog's life, and the people who were just living their lives in their homes life. Like, it was a stupid decision that she made, and I definitely do think Shannon has a drinking problem. Like, some people might not, but yeah, I've been watching this show like off and on in the earlier seasons, but like I really tapped in during like possibly like season 10, season 11. And my thing is, like, I've always felt like Shannon drinks too much. So I'm not saying that Tamara is wrong for being like, I want to hold my friend like accountable and give her tough love, but the way you go about it matters, and the way you're going about it is very nasty and mean. And it's like, honestly, if Tamara would have did what she did at Katie's golf event, where she just ignored Shannon and talked around her and was like friends with everybody else except her, then I feel like people would understand where she was coming from, more so than you like making digs, making jokes, and then clicking up with Alexia Bellino and like making the situation worse and yelling at her and being like, well, you're an alcoholic, you're this, you're this. It's like, okay, girl, we get it. You're mad. We get it. It's locked into the bank. We get it, girl. We get it. So, since I said Alexia Bellino, it looks like People Magazine released an article on the 28th where it was announced that Alexis and John are getting married. And he popped the question on the 27th, but she posted this to her Instagram, where it says this: on cloud, no, celebrating 9 months. Well, my bad, guys. Hold up. Okay, if I can get the picture. It says, on cloud 9, celebrating 9 months of love and laughter and looking forward to my forever with you. Every moment together has been a gift. I am so in love with you, and a beautiful life we're building together. And the answer is, I think it's supposed to be 1,000,000,000% yes. I don't even think that's a billion. I think that's more than a billion, but whatever. It says 1 Corinthians 13:13, and now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of all of these is love. And then she has hashtag 9 months strong, hashtag love of my life. I don't see nothing good coming out of this. I really don't. The same way I felt like what's happening between Simon and Portia, I knew that was coming. Like, when Simon and Portia got together and the way that Simon behaved about Fallon and how he was coming at her online, or they were coming at each other, I was like, when him and Portia break up, he's going to be 3 times as worse. And he is. He's way worse than what he gave. Like, he's giving Portia way worse than what he gave Fallon. And I believe John is going to do the exact same thing if him and Alexis ever get married or make it down the aisle. And once they get a divorce, he gonna take her through. He gonna take, because it's always like, you see, like, it always happens when someone sees another person get done real dirty by their partner, they get it the worst. And I just, girl, I don't know. And being together with somebody for 9 months is not enough for me to be like, yeah, I want to like marry you. Because I feel like you are showing your representative for like the first 3 months of the relationship, and y'all are still trying to fill each other out if y'all are like comfortable with each other. And once you get comfortable, like really, really comfortable, I feel like that's like a year in. For real, for real. But hey, let's get into this review. So I'm gonna be honest. I found this episode to be boring. Okay, it was kind of meh, you know. And honestly, I watched it while I was lifted, if you know what I mean. And then I rewatched it unlifted, and I still was bored by the episode. But I could say all of that, and then this video be 45 minutes long. So who knows? But let's talk about it. So the episode opens up, and we see Heather, Emily and Tamara out for like dinner, and they're at this restaurant, and they're both like, well, all three of them are like talking about like Hinta and Big Bear. Emily makes mention about how she was just like, we were worried about Shannon having a mental breakdown. They do the flashback where Shannon is like, I'm so overwhelmed by life, and she starts crying at the breakfast table. Then you have Tamara being like, well, I met up with Shannon, and Heather being like, girl, when you called me, I didn't think you was meeting up with her like right then and there. I thought you was just, I'm surprised. Okay, girl, I'm surprised. And so, Tamara was like, yeah, we met up. It was okay, but I realized that her and Alexis don't need to be in the same room together. She also talked about how she wants to have this traders party. We actually see her in the car with the other girls that went with her to Big Bear, basically being like, I want to throw a traders party and invite everybody. And Alexis is like, is Shannon going to be there? And Tamara kind of made the face like, yeah. So she pretty much tells Emily and Heather, I'm not going to invite Alexis, because I don't think they need to be, Shannon and her need to be in the same space. She was like, I also told Shannon that she can invite Vicky so she feels comfortable. And so then Tamara talks about this video, or maybe Emily brought up the video. And so Heather's like, yeah, I heard about that. What's that about? And so Tamara basically explains like, they're threatening to release it. And so the three of them come to the consensus is like, no one needs to tell Shannon. Like, even though I feel like they should tell her, but everyone's like, because of Shannon's mental state, they're like, maybe she doesn't need to know because it might send her off the deep end. So we then get this scene of Shannon going to this dealership that like installs breathalyzers into your car. There was this funny scene where she purchased a brand new car, and she was like, she totaled the car in the accident. And Emily went with her, and she like leaning up. Shannon is always like leaning on something, and she was like, well, I don't want to scratch it. And it's a white car. Look, white clothes, white furniture, white cars. I had like, that was my first car, was a 1996 Ford Taurus. Like, my parents had that car for a long time, and like, it was white, and I used to hate whenever it would like rain in our area because of all like the dirty water, or like when it would snow in our area, how like, you get that dirty gray film on your car. I hated it. And it was so much more apparent on my car because it was white. Hate that mess. So she buys the car, and so she's at the dealership, like I said, getting the breathalyzer put in. We see the consultant, I think his name is like Chris or something. Shannon is also there with her business partner, and he's like, the guy's teaching her how to blow into the breathalyzer. And at first she does it wrong, and then he's like, you gotta hum when you do it. And then you can hear the beep, like kind of like a check sign, like she did it correctly. And she was gonna do something, but he was like, don't do that because you would be in violation, because I think the way she pulled it, I guess it was gonna pull the breathalyzer out. And so then the guy explains to her that like 3 violations mean you have to like come back to the dealership, you have to pay them some, I forgot how he said it, but I think you have to like pay them, or like you get fined or something like that, and then the process starts all over. That was too much. I was like, that was a lie. But I think what was the most concerning for me, and even Shannon made a face when the guy was like, you would have to blow into it like maybe every 5 to 10 to 20 minutes. And she was like, even while I'm driving. And he was like, yeah, you have to stay up on it. And I guess it beeps in your car. So I guess you can't play no type of loud music because you got to be prepared. And I mean, it makes sense, because if you got a DUI, that's a way like you're driving. We need to make sure you're not drinking and driving, because you could, but I guess it might have reset every time you turn off your car. Yeah, because you have to blow in order to drive the car or to like start the car. And Shannon's face was just like, are you serious? Because he, like, the violation thing was kind of confusing to me, but I guess it was just like, if he said if you get 3, then it's like it's a wrap. You got to come back to the dealership. I guess they uninstall it, and then whatever you had with your lawyer or with the court systems gets revoked. I was like, that's too much. That would stress me out. That would stress me out. They then talk about her business. I don't really know what Shannon's business is other than it's in the market of like wellness. But she said like profits aren't, they didn't go down, but they haven't gone up since the DUI. And Shannon is just like, she doesn't feel comfortable like promoting it or her being like the face of the brand when like she got a DUI. We know she's not very like she's not living a healthy lifestyle, but your brand is wellness. And but I mean, I guess the good thing is like you didn't take like a nosedive in profits. You just kind of like you plateaued, like you're staying at like this flat rate, but you always want upward growth. So that's understandable. So she was just like, this whole experience has been a lot. It has been a lot because I guess she had options. Like either she could get the breathalyzer or she would have to wait a certain amount of time before her license could get reinstated. But with having the breathalyzer in her car for at least like 6 months, she'll be good to go. And she was like, it's a reminder of how I messed up. And she was like, this in my business, it's just a lot going on, pretty much. What we have is of Katie and Jen. They're at Ryan's house. Katie and Jen are doing yoga. You know, Katie's is like, Jen is admiring how flexible Katie is. And Jen is like, well, you know, when your husband look like Matt, you gotta, I said, girl, you acting like Matt is like Henry Cavill. Because that's an attractive white man. Okay. Girl, I understand. If he looked like that, as big and all of that stuff, that's Superman right there. But so like they sit down. While they're sitting down, we see Jen's dog roll up. I think the dog's name is like Sprinkles or Sparkles or something like that. And Jen asks Katie like, so what's up with you and Heather? Like, have you reached out to her? Because Heather wanted, I guess, her to reach out to her or something like that. And so Jen was like, no, Katie's like, I did reach out to her. Like I texted her, but like I didn't get a response. Like it's almost been a week and I haven't gotten a response. And so Katie's whole thing is like, Heather wants me to like grovel to her and like beg her for us like for like her forgiveness, but I'm not doing all of that. Heather is just like Katie ends up being like, I'm over it. She should be over it. Like I don't really want to talk about it. I know she probably don't want to talk about it, but we can move on. And I'm like, that's very bold of you, Katie, because you attacked her unprovoked. Like it would be totally different. And I'm not even counting the Christmas thing because they weren't filming. Like if this was happening during filming and Heather was being this way towards you, I would totally understand you bringing these so-called receipts about her contacting the paparazzi. But you brought up something that happened a season ago when you weren't even a part of this friend group. And granted, I understand people feel some type of way like being shafted at a party or people being ignored. That is completely understandable. But what we not about to do is like equate that to being equal to you going behind someone's back that you don't even know and digging up dirt on them and they ain't really done nothing to you. Because if the roles were reversed, I'd be looking at Heather crazy like, girl, you ain't know her to do all of this. So I totally understand Heather being guarded when it comes to Katie, because I would have been like, yeah, I'm good on you. I'm good on you. So while they're sitting there, you hear like this engine rev up and like drive off like it's a car. And well, of course it's a car. It's the engine in a car, Leah. Those lines of words just didn't make sense. But Jen makes a face where like, thank you, Dustin. And we find out that it was her oldest son in the car. So then Jen is like, well, how is that relationship like with the divorce and everything? And Jen is just like, it's going, you know? So then Jen asks Katie, so what's up with your whole divorce? Like, if you don't mind me asking. And so Katie explains to us that when she was 21, she had already had her first child with her husband. The oldest daughter, and the little girl was like basically a year old. She was 14 months, and she was walking down the aisle. They were having the wedding in Hawaii, and she was just like, I don't know if I can do this. And then I think she said her brother-in-law was like, hey, good luck with that one. And that really made her feel like, okay, I really can't do this. So she told her dad like, hey, I don't think I can do this. And he was like, sucks to be you because you are doing this, okay? Because he was like, we done paid for the venue, we done paid for the dress, your family out here done flew to Hawaii, you getting married. And so she got married, which is messed up because I feel like if I would have told my dad I can't do this, he would have gladly walked into the church, hey, hit that mic. So ain't gonna be no wedding. But we gonna have a reception. Get your stuff. Meet us over at such and such, event center, and we gonna party and get this food and these drinks. I really don't feel like my parents would force me to like, and technically it's not forcing you, but I feel like they would have backed me up if I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. They would have told me to wait or something like that. So she gets married to the guy. They end up having her oldest son and then her second youngest son or her second oldest son. And because they were so young, because they both were in their 20s, they're 21, she was like, it was a lot of like butting heads and them fighting and all of that stuff. And she was always like leaving him, but coming back. And then finally she just got tired of it and she decided, you know what, I can't do this. And she left him all entirely and took the two oldest because the youngest one was like, I want to stay with my dad. And here we are. And she ends up telling Jen that the two oldest kids see her husband, Matt, as their dad. And the oldest daughter wants to change her name to Janella to Matt's last name because she feels like that is her father. She doesn't really call him father or dad. She calls him padre because she doesn't like the word dad because I guess she has too many negative emotions with that because she feels like her real dad abandoned her. But Katie says how this story about how the little girl called Matt dad one day or like, hey dad or welcome home dad or something like that. And Matt ended up crying because that really meant a lot to him. And so that gave Jen some type of glimmer of hope where she was like, okay, we can really, like, I could do this with my family. My kids might one day see, Ryan as their dad. So she feels good about the situation. Then we have this scene of Katie with her oldest daughter, and she is filling out the paperwork to change her last name. And she was kind of like, I don't know what to put in the section as to why I'm changing my last name. And she was like, should I say it's because that family abandoned me and now I have this family and I feel adopted and all of this stuff? And Katie was like, no, like, write this or whatever. And then she was like, how does dad feel about it or Padre feel about it? He was like, he's excited like about this day. Then the little girl starts to get emotional and she's just like, her feelings are like all over the place. And Katie was like, it's just like, you're closing this chapter and open a new chapter. I'm gonna be honest, I really feel like that little girl did not want to change her last name. Like, I do feel like she does have very strong emotions about her biological father, which she is entitled to if she genuinely feels abandoned and he's not putting forth any effort. But I do kind of feel like it's weird that the youngest child, because most of the times kids want to go with their mom, but the fact that youngest kid was like, no, I'm staying with my dad. And I was like, on Twitter, I said this, I was like, what is that like when kids pick sides at a young age, where it's like you got the two oldest kids siding with their mom, the youngest one is siding with their dad, and it's like, do they not have a relationship with their younger brother? Like, or is it weird because you feel like you have to defend your dad to your mom, to your siblings, or you have to defend your mom to your sibling? Like, I was just like, that's such a like a icky and like weird and awkward place to be, because I do feel like it says a lot that you got this one that don't want to really, because we see the little boy with them like in pictures, but it feels like it's an strained relationship. Because I'm just kind of like, why did he not want to be with you? And at such a young age. So I feel like to a certain extent, I don't think Katie is telling the full truth. Like, I do believe she probably had it hard because getting married at 21 is stupid. It's stupid. It is not 1944 anymore. It's stupid. Everybody that I went to high school with that I knew that got married when we got right out of high school, like around the ages of like 18, 19, and 20, by the time that I graduated from college, most of them, if not all of them, were divorced because you go through so many changes. So I was just like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. But it's just this story, I need more to this story, So we see them go to the courthouse. And I don't know. I just feel like the little girl was very like, she felt apprehensive. And I don't feel like Katie was doing a good enough job to like console her. Maybe she needed a moment where Katie's like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, can we, like, do you need to wait another day? Like, it was just all, and maybe it was just overwhelming to her that she was actually doing it. But hey, it's her life. She's an adult, so she can make this decision for herself. While they were in the car on their way there, Katie brings up Sophia, which is Tamara's daughter, who we also see driving in the car, wanting them to like link up with each other because they are around the same age, may possibly be the same age, and they don't really have friends like that in the area. So Katie's daughter's like, oh yeah, that'd be cool. So we see Tamara and her daughter. Her daughter's driving. Tamara is like freaking out while she's driving. It's crazy because like Tamara keeps wanting to have conversations with her daughter about Simon, which is Sophia's dad, and Sophia be cutting it, like she be shutting it down, which is her right too. If she don't want to talk about her daddy on camera or about him in general to Tamara, she has that right. But their interaction is awkward too. Like they're like restarting their relationship, or maybe she's just an awkward kid, because anytime Tamara gets like emotional, she gets very like uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? But Tamara ends up crying in her confessional where she's just like, it sucks. Like he has 2 kids that don't speak to him, and I have 1 child that doesn't speak to me, and it's all because of the divorce. And again, it's weird when kids pick sides and siblings like. And when I say it's weird, because normally when I see kids pick sides, everybody's on the same page. Like all of them are like, oh, we siding with dad or we're siding with mom. So it's always kind of like trippy to me when you have that one kid that's like, no, I'm sticking, goes the opposite way. And I just always wonder, and more than likely it does shift the dynamic of the like siblingship. But I'm like, that sucks. That sucks. It's this scene of Emily and Shane. She's getting tanning at the house, and while they're sitting down after she's done getting tanned, she asks Shane like, "Hey, did you go to the doctor, or have you set up a doctor's appointment like I asked you to? Because you like basically seem like you was about to have a heart attack on me, and I'm not trying to be a widow at the ripe old age of 48." And Shane is like, it wasn't all that bad. I don't understand men and like not taking their health seriously. Like y'all be dying over the simplest stuff when you could just like go to the doctor, have them do a few tests and let you know you need to take more vitamins, and we could keep it pushing. You know what I'm saying? So she then asked Shane, like, do you think I'm mean? And he was like, what do you mean? And she was like, well, when I was in La Quinta with, Shannon, Heather, and Gina, Shannon told me that Gina was talking about how I've become very mean or a lot meaner. And I was like, I was trying to figure out the timeline. Was this before I lashed out and yelled at Jen, or was this like after? And Shane was like, yeah, that wasn't okay for you to do. And Emily was like, yeah, I know now. I understand now. And so then she brings up how, it wasn't right for me to yell at her, but her personality reminds me about my mom. Like she blames everything on everybody. Like my mom started college and she didn't finish, and she blames everybody. And Shane is like, yeah, I don't think that's ever going to change. And she was like, I feel like that's what like Jen is doing. And then she gets real emotional being like in her confessional, and she started crying in front of Shane, where she was like, I don't want to be like this. But she was like, I didn't have help. Like I was the one getting myself up in the morning, feeding myself dinner, cooking breakfast, doing all these things for myself because my mom was not home. And I had to be strong. I had to be mean. I had to be tough. And that situation made me who I am for this day. But I don't want to be like mean like that to that extent. So then she starts crying and talking about her daughter, where she was just like, I go in her bedroom every night, I hug her and I tell her I love her. And I'm just like, I don't want to ever have that type of relationship with her or her to think I'm mean. And Shane is like, I don't think she does. But she's like, I'm scared she does. And then he says a word where he's like, well, you got to break the cycle. I said, say that word, Shane. You got to break the cycle, Emily. And she was like, that's not, she was like, I'm trying. But and then she ends it with like, do you think I'm a good mom? And he was like, yeah. And she starts crying and he hugs her. And I was like, so my assessment of Emily was correct. Like, even though I still think she got fat, mean girl syndrome, before I said that, I talked about how Emily is probably mad at Jen because nobody came to save her the way people saved Jen. Like she said, she had a hard life growing up. She had to be mean. She had to be tough in order to survive and take care of herself. And now she's looking at Jen, someone around the same age as her, who's been pampered all her life. And she just feels like she's making stupid decisions and it doesn't make sense and it irritates her. But like I also said in that review, that's not Jen's fault. Like just because you're projecting and you're triggered by her behavior, that has nothing to do with you. She's not accosting you. She's not bothering you. Like you have to work on that. And Emily needs to legit like sit on somebody's couch and actually like talk about her feelings. And honestly, the thing about Emily is like she's not wrong about Jen. Jen makes stupid decisions. Jen is stupid. Like she's sweet and nice, and I think that's why people really like her, because she gives this very much like real positive like energy, and it's nice, but it's like we can't negate the fact that she makes dumb decisions. You're walking around here with a busted Rolex just so you can have the illusion or the effect that like, hey, I got a Rolex, but it doesn't work. Why not sell the Rolex and recoup that money? Why did you move in with Ryan and not have a backup plan just in case he leaves and goes to the feds with this whole situation, or even if this situation didn't pop up, if he just decides he doesn't want this anymore, you don't have a backup plan. Why did you not have a literal contract with your previous landlords about you paying rent during the pandemic so you wouldn't be owing I think it was like $24,000 in backed rent? Like there's so many. Jen is making so many mistakes that at the age she is, she shouldn't be making these mistakes. But like she said, she's always been taken care of. So now she's having to figure it out. And I can understand someone like Emily being frustrated by her behavior. But the way Emily went about going after Jen makes her look like an asshole. And she was being an asshole. But she's not wrong in saying that Jen is stupid, because she's not making smart decisions. And like I've been saying, it would be okay if she was making these decisions if she was by herself with Ryan. But you are not. You are with Ryan with 5 kids. You are their protector, their provider. You have to make better decisions. You just have to. It's time for the Traitors, I guess, party or event. So they all pull up to this house. It was a nice house. Gave the castle theme because Traitors is normally like played in Scotland at a castle. So everyone's standing outside. It's like raining outside, like drizzling. And so they're all cold and like waiting and all of this stuff. And next thing you know, the host comes out and it's Teddi Mellencamp. I don't find Teddi as annoying as a lot of people do. When she's right, she's right. When she's wrong, she dead wrong. I don't know. It's just, I think it's because she wasn't really eventful on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And then now that she's not on it, she got all this mouth. I think that's why people find her annoying. I know that's why I find her annoying. But I don't find her to be totally insufferable the way a lot of people don't really like her like that, you know? So she pulls up. She looks nice. The outfit she had on, I thought was cute. But I did laugh when someone was like, did she just get done horseback riding? Because it was given she was like a jockey or about to like be on the horse jumping hurdles or something. So she comes up and she's like, welcome Housewives and Vicky. And Vicky got this face like Vicky was like, girl. And even Heather was like, yeah, that was rude. She ain't had to say that to you. That was rude. So Teddi tells them, like, when we get into the house, I need all y'all to fill out this paperwork and answer correctly, like, and be truthful about it. So they get into the house and they're broken into like 2 groups of 2. So you got Shannon and Vicky together, Tamara and Heather, Emily and Gina, and then Jen and Katie. And they're all writing down, like, one of the questions was like, who's the biggest liar, or who lies the most? Like, who's the meanest? Who is this? Who's the most judgmental? You know, Jen is like, I'm gonna put Emily for everything, because every time I do something, Emily is judging me. You know, she said, I'm this, I'm stupid, I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, Emily, Emily, Emily. And then Gina is like, well, Katie is the biggest liar because she's just lying all the time and everywhere. Okay. So I'm going to write her down. So then when we get to Shannon's table with Vicky, Shannon is like, girl, I ain't seen Teddi in a month of Sunday. What's up with you and her? And Vicky was like, I don't know. I don't like her. And so they do the flashback to 2023's BravoCon. And this is when, I forgot, Andy was doing like his Watch What Happens Live event. I think that's what it was, where you had different Bravo celebrities on there sitting on the main stage. And Teddi, I think it was like they were supposed to like squash their beef. So Teddi and Vicky are sitting in front of each other. And when I tell you Teddi ate Vicky up, even though Teddi get on my, like, I don't even say get on my nerves. She's just not my cup of tea as a housewife, because she wasn't really all of that. But she ate Vicky up. She was like, where were you January the 6th? When they were having their back and forth online. And Vicky was like, I was in my house, in my vacation home. in like some Mexico City. Like, why would you ever ask me that? And I said, girl, you know why she asked you that, Vicky. And then they got to the point where she was like, I think Vicky was uncomfortable because she was around somebody who actually had cancer. When she said that, the way Dorit's face was like, it was a ooh moment. Because when I saw that clip, I said, damn, Teddy, you ain't had to eat the lady up like that. And after that, Vicky has never liked Teddy. Never liked Teddy. Because Teddy cleared her, okay? She cleared her. So Vicky just feels like Teddy is only there because she's, what's her name's minion. She's Tamra's minion. So they all get to this table and they do basically heads up, 7-Up, where they have to put on blindfolds and then they have to put on earplugs. And as their heads are down, Teddy's walking around the table and she's like using the cane, I guess, to do like distractions. And so then she picks a traitor. So nobody knows who the traitor is. Nobody really knows who's a faithful either, unless they told them they were a faithful or a traitor. But I think only one person was a traitor. So it's just like one traitor and everybody's a faithful. So they break after they pick whoever the traitor is, and they all go to get cocktails at the bar, and Heather pulls Katie to the side. So everyone was thinking like, oh my God, like Katie's about to get murdered, because that's how the game goes. And so Heather ends up inviting Katie to this event that she's throwing. They do a flashback scene with the girls that were in La Quinto, where she invites them to like this charity event. I think it's like where it invites everybody, like everybody is welcome. And she talks about how like she has all these different kids of all these different genders and she would be happy to invite everyone. So Heather's like, because it's an exclusive event, I want to invite Katie. And Katie's like, okay. So then Katie tries to like apologize. She said, I'm sorry for being nosy and going into your business. And they do the flashbacks of the receipt. And Heather cuts her off and be like, girl, I don't want to rehash all of this. I'm trying to invite you so we can move forward. And so Katie is like, yeah, I know, but I'm trying. She's like, girl, no. I don't want to rehash it. Let's just move forward. Maybe this time there's a chance for us to get to know each other. Katie gets irritated in the confessional. Katie is a confessional gangster because she got all this mouth and vibrato and this bass in her voice in her confessional, but she not giving it to Heather because she's like, Heather, get your hand out my face, get your damn hand out my face. And Heather was just like, yeah, we can move forward. And I agree with Heather. We're not friends. So there's no reconciling. Like, it's just us moving forward and we know where we stand with one another. It is what it is. And so they walk back to the table and Jen is like, how'd it go? Like, did you get murdered? She's like, no murder. We just had a talk. And she was like, I tried to apologize to Heather, but she kept like cutting me off. And like Jim was like, oh. And I'm just like, I don't know what Katie thought was going to happen. Like, it seems like everybody else in the group really likes Katie, but Heather is really like, not really. They do the flashback of where it was Emily, Heather, and Tamara talking at the beginning of the episode at the restaurant. And they're like, well, we really like Katie. And Heather's like, that's fine. That's cool. And Tamara's like, I think you should give her a chance. And Heather's like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do all of that. I don't know if I want to do all that. But it is what it is. Then see this scene of Emily pulling Jen aside. And Emily did I will give her credit, a like sincere apology in my opinion. Like, she didn't say if. She was like, I'm sorry for yelling at you. I'm sorry for how I came at you. It was real disrespectful, and I've been doing a lot of soul searching since we had that argument, or since I yelled at you at the table about the Rolex, and my apologies. And Jen, I was surprised she didn't let her like skate by. She actually was like, well, in my opinion, girl, we ain't never been on the same page. I feel like you think you're better than me, and like you care more about bank accounts, and not people. And like Emily was like, no, I like, she said, girl, I came from nothing, so I don't care about the money. She was just like, I come from a background where I had to work hard for all the things that I had. I had to like, scratch and survive and like a show off a good time, like good times, girl. And like, I'm starting to realize this is your first time where you have to do things for yourself because you've always been taken care of. And Jen is like, yeah. And so she's like, for me, it's kind of triggering. And Jen ends up being like, well, I really like Emily in the sense of like, I admire her. Like, I feel like I want to be around women that I can grow from. And that's what I get from you. And Emily's like, oh, wow. And so she hugs her. And then in the confessional, Emily is like, now I feel like an asshole. And I'm like, because you are, because you were being an asshole. Like, again, I say, Emily had points. I think Jen is stupid. Like, you're making a lot of mistakes that I don't think at your age you should be making. And I understand there's a lot of like kept women, but it's just like, I don't know how you be so, and I mean, it's common to be so kept that, like, if that, like, let's say that person dies, you don't even get a divorce, but you're left and you don't know how to take care of yourself. That's scary to me. Like, you should know. I still can't believe, like, when Shannon and David broke up and she didn't know she had to pay for water. That was wild to me. I was like, you don't know, like, you need to know things. And maybe it's just because I'm nosy and I want to be in everything. So I'd have been like, how you pay this bill? What card do you use? Let me see the budget. Let me know what we doing. And the fact that Jen doesn't know that at the age she's at is wild. But it's common, especially for women from probably her area who are used to being taught to be like, you need to be a stay-at-home mom and he take care of everything. But they were able to move on. They hugged and they were good. We then see the Trace talking. They go inside to get food to eat. And so Shannon is sharing with Tamara about how she got a breathalyzer in her car. And Tamara was like, girl, why don't you just Uber everywhere? And Shannon's like, I've been doing that. And I'm tired of doing that. I want independence. Because we know her daughters are no longer there. So nobody can really drive her anywhere. And so Tamara's like, oh, well, I'll help you with that. Because Shannon is like, she wants to drop off her dry cleaning that's been sitting in her house since December the 31st. And I was like, girl, I don't know if you want help from Tamara, but hey, girl. That's the other thing. Shannon is also like too quick with giving out like personal information. Like, you and Tamara just got like semi okay. Why are you like, my bad, y'all. Like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you telling that lady your business? Like, she has not proven herself to you. So, next thing you know, what's her name? Vicky comes to the table that they were standing at. She's like, let's talk about Trace Amigas. Why did you leave Trace Amigas, Tamara? It was going great. We were doing great. And Tamara's like, yeah, it was a great show, but like, I had issues. And Vicky was like, what do you mean? And Tamara's like, I had issues not with you, but with Shannon. And she was like, and Vicky's like, what were the issues? She said her drinking. Okay, Vicky do be enabling Shannon because she be acting like she don't understand why somebody wouldn't want to be associated with somebody and with all the drinking that they do at them Trace Amigas groups. And so, what's it called? Tamara is like explaining like why, like, you know, it's because of the drinking. Then Shannon was like, well, really what I had an issue with is you liking that post by Alexis. And Tamara's like, what post? And they bring up this post where I think Alexis has like, I think she has like hashtag like new friendship forming or something. It's like hashtag friendship coming to form. And she was talking about going shopping for her like 16-year-old's birthday, and Tamara liked it and put clapping emojis. And that really bothered Shannon because I guess 4 days before that Instagram post was created, a what's it called? Oh, a PR post was released by people who work for Alexis. And I was like, I don't even understand why she got PR. And Tamara was like, girl, first of all, I didn't even know about that PR post. And I guess the PR post was her announcing that her and John Jansen were together. And Tamara was like, I didn't know that. I did not know that. And she was like, I never thought that they would get together. So I don't know why you trying to hold my feet to the fire like that. And so then Shannon is like, I want nothing to do with John Jansen or Alexis. And Tamara is like, they don't want anything to do with you either. Alexis always says she doesn't want anything to do with you, Shannon. So I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? So then, while they're still in there, Shannon gets emotional where she explains about the whole lawsuit. She was like, my lawyer sent over some paperwork and tried to work out some type of like settlement or some plan. And I was told that wasn't good enough. And if I didn't pay it in full or like pay him back in full, they were going to proceed with the lawsuit. And, you know, Shannon is like, I don't get why he's doing this to me. I don't get why this is happening. Like, I don't get it, okay? I don't get why this is happening. And so she gets emotional. And Tamara ends up saying how, like, she doesn't like being caught in the middle. And I'm like, you're not caught in the middle. You're putting yourself in the middle because you don't really have to have an opinion of, or you could be neutral. If you still want to be friends with Alexis and you still want to be friends with Shannon, just stop giving, like, you could give neutral advice or stop being a part of the conversation. You know what I'm saying? And so Tamara is just like, I'm sorry, Shannon. And she keep messing with her hair. And I would have been like, stop touching me, you know? And so Tamara ends up saying, well, here's the thing. They just want you to clear John's name. And then that's when Shannon really gets like worked up. And she's like, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. I haven't lied about anything, so I'm not going to lie now. I'm too old to be lying. I'm not going to do it. And Tamara's like, okay. I'm not telling you to lie. I'm not telling you to lie. And Vicky's like, she shouldn't have to do all of this. And Tamara's like, I get it. I'm just telling you what they want from her. And I get where Tamara was coming from. Like, girl, they just want you to clear his name. And if clearing his name means you don't have to go to court, then do so. And I mean, I feel like there's a way to like work around that, where you could give like a very like shallow surface level PR post, the same way like companies give when somebody does something racist or sexist or like homophobic or something like, or misogynistic or something like that. Like, you could give a very shallow PR post and like have it in writing that once you post that, they leave you alone and go on about your day. I feel like that there's a way to work around this situation, but I also understand Shannon being like, I'm not lying about my experience with you. Like, if it was horrible, it was horrible, and you got to deal with that just the same way I had to deal with it. So then Vicky's like, are we gonna get like how do we get to John? Like, we started off with Trace Amigas and now we're on to John. Are you getting back together with Trace Amigas, Tamara? And Tamara doesn't say anything. Tamara's just like, I feel like we can move forward, but like, this ain't for me. So she was, because Vicky's like, there's no replacing Tamara, there's no replacing me, there's no replacing Shannon. And so Tamara's like, can we hug? So then they hug, and then the producers asked her like, do you ever plan on rejoining the show? And Tamara's like, no. And then they were like, can we do the dance? And then they do their little pump dance, and they supposed to be okay. But honestly, I get why Tamara wouldn't want to be a part of that. Like, maybe there needs to be some wellness aspects like funneled into Trace Amigas, because when you look at the show, it looks like a very fun time. They're doing skits, they're laughing, they're drinking, they're having a good time. But it's like, the basis of that is y'all being drunk off your asses, and you can't be drunk off your asses when one of your co-stars ran a car into somebody's house. So we then have a moment where Gina and Heather are talking, and Heather is telling Gina how she actually had a conversation with Katie, and Gina's like, okay, that's good. Are y'all good? And Heather's like, we're all right. We just gonna see how it go. So then while the Trace Amigas were talking, you then see Emily come sit at the table. Emily was real like paranoid, because she looked right behind her shoulder to see if anybody was walking behind her, because they started talking about Shannon, because Gina brings up the video. She was like, I heard that there's like video. And Heather's like, yeah, Tamara told me, I heard about that too. And Gina's like, I feel like we should tell Shannon, but I also feel like if we tell her, it might send her all the way over. And she was like, I don't know what to do. And I get where I see, that's why I'm not that mad about them like not telling Shannon, even though I think they should. But if Shannon is as volatile as she is, or as emotionally fragile as she is, telling her that this man that is suing her has this video, and that it might be like put out there if she pisses him off in any kind of way, I don't know if that's going to cause Shannon to like really like drink herself into like a alcohol poisoning or something, or a stupor or something like that. So I do understand them being cautious based off of the behavior that Shannon has like shown to them, with all the crying and letting them know that she's overwhelmed, and they're probably like scared something bad's going to happen. But I do think she should know. And so next thing you know, you see Katie being like, yeah, it's going to ruin her if it come out. And they're all three of them are just sitting at the table like, Lord, this is a mess. This is a mess. And Gina's in the confessional being like, Shannon needs to take full responsibility. Like, whatever she did on the ring footage, she did that. That's her plight. She has to take responsibility and ownership of that. But releasing this video like she don't got kids, that this will be damaging to her social standing as well as to her kids, is like, you crossing the line at that point. And I agree with Gina, like the TMZ video is already bad enough. Now you gonna add in there like her almost running over somebody else's child. Not a good look. For the game to wrap up. And mind you, by the time we got to this point in the game, I was like, come on. I was with Vicky. I don't want to play this no more. Like, this is the type of game you have to play with a bunch of people. Like, if this was like at a party and the vibes were set, it was nice outside, I feel like this would be a fun game. But it's raining, it's cold, and like, I'm bored. I'd have been bored. So, you know, you never want to like introduce a game to a party that was already nice and it kills the vibe. Cause I was like, this part of this game with the people you got would kill the vibe. Cause Teddy's not like a fun host. She's very dry. So as they're walking to go back to the round table to like reveal who the traitor is, you got Teddy shoving Tamara into the pool and everyone's freaking out like, oh my gosh. You got Shannon saying something, my pills, my medication. I said, what does that have to do with you being shoved in the pool? Like, are they on you? Is that what you I was like, Shannon, what are you talking about, ma'am? And so Tamara pulls herself out of the pool. You got Heather being like, oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay? Like, and you could tell that Heather was legitimately concerned. She was like, are you okay? And so they wrap a blanket around her. Teddy's like pushing Tamara's hair out of her face. And Tamara's like, you know, Teddy knows how to kill a party. And I'm like, girl, I feel like y'all playing this because I feel like Tamara was too calm because I feel like had Teddy pushed Tamara into the pool without her like being in on the joke, she would have got out that pool kicking and screaming. But she was too ready to like, come on, you guys, let's finish the game. She was in on it. So they wrap her up. They're sitting down at the round table and they are now like going to pick like who they believe is the traitor. And for the most part, everyone thought that Emily was the traitor. Gina thought she was the traitor. Heather said she was the traitor. Katie said she was the traitor. And so did Jen. And then you have Emily thinking Gina is the traitor. And then, Vicky and Tamara both thought Heather was the traitor. And lo and behold, Vicky and Tamara were right. Heather was the traitor. And it was funny because I thought Jen was the traitor based off of what Heather said. But also I was like, oh, I feel like Jen would be the most one that nobody would think would be the traitor. But in the beginning of when they picked, like when Teddy picked who the traitor was, she was like walking around with the circle and like stomping the cane. When they got back up, Heather was whispering to Tamara saying, I think Jen or Gina is the traitor because I heard the stomps over there, but I don't know which one she was doing the stomp thing in front of, you know? And so Tamara and Vicky were like, yeah, we knew Heather was the traitor. And then Tamara was like, Heather should be on Traitors. I think out of everybody, I think Heather, Shannon, and maybe Jen. I don't know about Jen. I feel like Jen would. Maybe Emily? Yeah, I would go with Heather, Shannon, and Emily. I think will be good on Traitors because I feel like they would throw people off their game, you know? So then you got Katie in the confessional being shady. Of course, Heather is a traitor. She's good at lying, you know? Like, does she act? I don't really know. Girl, you sound like a fan. You know that lady used to act. And also, you are pressed like a panini. Like Katie. It's not that deep. You started it. It would be totally different if you didn't start with her. So why do you think she'd be so cool with you now? So Heather was like, honestly, the traitor is Tamara. But not Tamara, but Teddy. Because Teddy killed the wrong person. Because all of Trace Amigas was taken out. And so Heather is just like, I was like, when like Tamara was like, which one of you bitches killed off Trace Amigas? Heather was like, I was really shocked because I thought like that's not the person I told Teddy to kill. That's not. So I think that threw people off the game because Heather did look really like, oh girl, that's the wrong, like, is there another traitor? So she ended up winning because no one picked her. And that's where the episode ended. Yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. As always, remember to be bravely authentic and definitely hop down in them comments below and share your thoughts with me. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.